distance-wise. So we'll just have to see who wants to be the cheeser and who wants to be the cheesette. In the top left, we have the red Terran player representing Team Liquid. He is Clem.
I like the idea of the cheesette. I've never heard that term before. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. He is representing Team Clash. It is Reynor. Actually, a cheesette sounds like something you like one of the plates that you serve the fine cheeses on.
Maybe, or maybe it's, you know, I was just kind of going for the
person being cheese.
Yeah. But you know, you say that, and when I look for ulterior meanings, now I'm just thinking about Cheez-Its, man. I don't know what to say. I've got snacks on the mind. I don't. When we do these shows are actually a part of my diet, because I wake up and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have 140 calorie yogurt, and then I'm not gonna eat until after this show is over. And you know what? I keep taking days. I'm casting more, and you know what? It's helping me out. It's helping me out. But I apologize to all of you out there. If you don't have any snacks, you should probably just go get some, if I'm being honest, because well,
maybe after this game,
you're having a good time.
Maybe after Submarine. You probably don't want to be going and grabbing.
Yeah, this one will be short.
Right,
if you go to get snacks now, the game will be over by the time you get back, most likely. So maybe wait.
Possible.
Yeah. Or maybe the smartest people already put their stuff in the microwave because they knew that they're not going to have to hear the beeping for 20 minutes because this game will be over soon. Right? There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I have to say, Nate, as much as we're talking about, you know, Submarine being a small map and it does oftentimes lead into shorter games, there is one thing I actually really like about this map, and that's when it does get to like 4 or 5 bases. This map is so much fun to watch ZVT and TVP and stuff on when it gets to like the later stages. It's rare, doesn't actually happen super duper often, but when it does, it just gets nutty because you're so close to your opponent. The positional play becomes so unbelievably punishing, because if you're out of position, it's like, oh, your opponent actually has a 4-second window. They can just jump on you, kill off a base, and back home. It's really, really fun.
I want to give a shout out to that little sexy zoom out we just had while that Reaper was doing some pokes. Mapu doing our observing today, based God.
Yeah.
But what he was showing us is actually the drone was kind of tucked by the third, away from where the SCV could have seen it, but also somewhere that the Reaper wouldn't see it on its way in. So he waited for the Reaper to dive in, waited for that SCV to move back, because, you know, the Terran's like, oh yeah, my Reaper's at the front. Now the drone can't go build a third. Surprise, already had a drone pocketed away. So he's able to get his third at a nice quick timing. And these are the types of things that when you watch Reynor, they happen all the time. He's always getting inside people's heads. He's almost always finding ways to kind of exploit the standard expectation. And I love that. I absolutely love it. Love to see it.
Yeah, secret agent drone able to stay out of vision range and finally gets promoted, taken out of the field, and gets to fulfill its dream of becoming a building. Now, we do have a Banshee opening coming out over here, with Cloak coming on out as well. So, Clem, likely gonna have to try and commit if he wants to more Banshees, if he actually wants to get a lot of damage done over here, but...
You know, I just get the visual of, it's like, oh, everybody's in elementary school, you're all sitting in a ring, and it's like, okay, class, say your name and what your dream job is. I was like, I'm Nathan, and I want to be a football player. It's like, I'm Ravi, and I want to be a programmer. And then this other dude comes in, I'm Daryl, and I want to turn into a non-sentient static defense structure so that I can literally never move ever again. Well, I guess static defense would be the worst reference to make, since
I'm just a building. I can't disappoint anyone.
I want to turn into an extractor. You know what I mean? I want to find a big old geyser to morph my body around.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, these aliens are gotten so close to killing off multiple creep doomers with just a splash damage, and both of them barely survive. So Clem's still gonna have to waste the scan to try and clean some of that up. And so far, he's been able to roast and toast one queen, but hasn't been able to get a whole lot. The sport calls are gonna be pretty vital for this, because with the Banshee sharking around for some damage, there's really not gonna be a whole lot with the queen so far forward, trying to help deal with the Hellions. The Zerglings manage to get a kind of surround on the Hellions. They do manage to have enough DPS to sneak on through. 4 Hellions still alive. That's enough to one-shot a worker, but now down to 2 as he moves in the main base. I think that Reynor shouldn't be taking too much more damage here now. Well,
this was really good though. This was a really big pickup, and it's not just because he gets a couple of the drones, but he killed all the lings that were on the map. So it's not just a binary question of do I build drones or Zerglings. He kind of wants to rebuild both because you never know if your opponent's still cranking out Hellions back home or when the first attack is going to be. But the Banshees come in, they get a nice little poke. Oh, if you lose any, that'll make me sad, but if he gets out with those, he can always come back for another attack. And he's going to float that 3rd command center out. And I actually really like this position. Reynor is at the stage where he's just going to crank out drones because the Hellions are all dead. But at the same time, I feel like because this is a small map, that bio follow-up is going to be hitting quite a bit faster than usual. But also, the 2 Banshees, look at that 4th hatchery. This is exactly what I wanted to see. I'm like, go home, maybe repair, but if you head over to this 4th base, a cancel here would be huge. I don't think he's going to get the cancel because the Banshees don't really have the energy to sit there and fight, or, also there's an Overseer. But that's nice. It's a good bit of pressure to apply because you know that's going to be the primary target for the big bio push is that 4th.
Yeah, I mean, even taking off 25 or so of the hit points off that hatchery. I mean, think about all of those TVZ pushes where you have the Terran player inching forward and the Zerg player is taking damage on the hatchery, and they have to wait until the last second when that hatchery is just barely about to fall, and then they storm on in. Suddenly you lose like 40% or 30% of the hit points on the hatchery. You actually get a little bit less time to morph in those final banelings. We've seen that come into play so many times in StarCraft.
That's right. That's right. We have that first little poke kind of doing not too much as the wall off goes up by the 3rd base for Clem. He's trying to be hyper aware of possible counterattack possibilities. But yeah, that main speed finishes, as you said. The tank does clean out the majority of the banelings, though. Unfortunately, loses a lot of the Marines. But if he can get a next wave over there quickly, well, it doesn't look like he's rallying anything out. It's a little bit of a tricky situation because if he's going to have time to rebuild a lot of those units, and his upgrade advantage is only going to last a little bit longer. He did get his 1-1 way fast this game.
Yeah, that is definitely going to come in handy with +2 weapons starting. Doesn't quite have the gas for +2 armor just yet, but the Banshee is still being active, still finding, not lots of kills, although he does actually find a queen kill over there. I think that one of the Banshees is going to go down in the main base. All right, there's got to be a queen in the main base that's sharking around, and there it is. But, Banshee's actually still cloaked, and the Overseer a little bit late to the party, so that queen takes a lot of damage. And Clem, he loses the Banshee, but snagging another queen in the main, that was actually the only queen doing the injects there. So, Reynor got to replace that now, and just light bits of damage with those Banshees, but a lot of sustained firepower there.
Yeah, and here we go. Another massive army moving out. I think Cyril was kind of talking about this the other in the interview, but this 8 racks, right? The 3 base 8 racks kind of bio all in, so to speak, which is the Terran way of saying, I am going to just put everything in on killing you before you reach that Mega Zerg phase. Pretty risky to just walk everything onto creep and then siege the tanks, but he's able to get into that position. He wants this high ground. He wants to put that pressure on and kill this 4th base, and I think he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, that hatchery is already sitting a little bit lower in hit points, and it's going to end up going down. There's a big counterattack from Reynor. I mean, this is one of the most Reynor things you could do, but the Siege Egg acting as a whole position wall over here. The Marines also batter away at these Zerglings, and at the same time, Reynor is getting broken in at the front as the hatchery has gone down. The Queens are getting taken out, but remember, the Siege Eggs are from a lot further back, so Clem needs an opportunity to move those forward a little bit.
You know what? There's still lings in his base. That's the hard part. The Marines that are trickling out are struggling a little bit with that too. But he hasn't taken a big economic blow yet. Still 63 SCV, so he is rolling in it right now. These Banes are not going to be able to get too much. Good splits from Clem. Wow. He's got those young, healthy wrists.
And there's actually nothing. There's zero Banelings out on the map right now. There's 8 Banelings being made. The Lings are getting full surrounds on these Marines. Banelings force us back.
Saves the tank too, even on the way out. Nicely done. He continues to go back up. Not too much. Couple of lanes.
Stays alive. Stays alive as well. This is definitely where things I feel like are starting to spiral a lot further in Clem's control, just because He managed to snipe off that base earlier. He did have those lings wreaking havoc in his base for a little bit, but I don't actually feel like he lost too much of his economy or even his units rallying on out. And now he just gets to make another push, and guess what, Nate? That creep spread, you do not get to respread it that quickly. It's actually really, really close to all the hatcheries of Reynor.
Liberator coming over to try and help with the setup for this attack, but he's going to jump on the Marine tank army before it can reach that position, and all of the Banelings get killed, and all but one tank. Oh my god, that damn.
That's going to be a big moment over here, because now the hatchery is going to be under fire without the Banelings finishing up. 20 Banelings being made. The drones have nowhere to escape either, and there's nothing to prevent the Marines from picking up the medevac if Banelings do show up.
If he can get the drones, that is so big. The Banes are coming forward to support. Only gets a handful of them. Oh, the tank! The tank! Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Good eating tonight.
That's gotta be it. It's evened up upgrades. Reynor just doesn't have an advantage right now. He's down in workers. He's down in army supply. He's barely got a lot of creep spread actually in front of him to even rely on right now. Clem is charging on forward and looking strong in game number 1 here on Submarine. He is looking like he really does want to pull it upset here today.
Yeah, well, Clem is looking
34 kill tank.
Fantastic with this. That tank is, that
Wow.
Frank the tank right there, if you know what I mean. All right, he's unstoppable. Big link counterattack though. This is where Reynor's gonna try and use his stand, get that big ability off. That's what he's so known for. Those ling run-bys, those counterattacks, the backstab. He is getting a little bit of damage in there. SCVs retreating up into the main base. There's some of the Marines there to defend, but good couple Baneling hits. But he killed the third, right? Reynor has nothing left. GG. Clem, even with the lings inside of his base a few times that game, did a stellar job of maintaining a grip on that map, and very well done indeed. You get to see a little bit of the submarine shenanigans, and the reason why it gets vetoed. When you play somebody as good as Clem and you take that punch, that next punch comes a second faster than you're expecting it, because the map is so small. It's so much easier to get around, to get those flanks, and I mean, Clem just really exploited it properly. Reynor went for some big backstabs, and I'm not gonna lie, a lesser Terran would have had 40,000 lings run into their base and kill everything the first time it happened, but sieging the tank in the wall, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it, sure.
Yeah, made a big difference in actually being able to eventually hold that off with a reinforce and rally in units. Otherwise, the SCVs just end up going down really quickly to all those lings, and just everything starts spiraling out of control. But now we get to move into a game number 2, and I think, okay, Nate, maybe this is like a little bit too strong to say that you kind of just say, well, yeah, Terran player's gonna have a big advantage on Submarine, like Reynor will give Submarine away. I wouldn't put it that strongly, but I think that is one of the maps that you're like, okay, if I'm gonna lose on any one of the maps in this map pool, like against a Terran player in this matchup, I feel like it's gonna be on Submarine, right? That's one of the losses. Reynor can be like, that map is tough, like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, for sure. And this has been, you know, we talk about this tournament and everything, right? We've got such good players that have such interesting stories between each other, right? The rivalry between Reynor and Serral, going over multiple tournament finals over the last few years, all the way up to, you know, the semis of BlizzCon and all whatnot. And it is crazy to think that we have another player who might be able to cement themselves as a third pillar, right? Because there really is nobody. There's nobody in the EU StarCraft scene that stands, you know, that stands at the same level as Reynor and Serral. Clem, we talk about him being the player who can reach that point. But you know, he's yet to really realize that potential. And I think a finals berth here would be incredible in this bracket. If he's able to defeat Reynor, that is like, you know, we've shifted it. We've got the triangle power dynamic where that actually makes things even crazier, because then you can't just focus on your rival. You have to focus on 2 different people, and that's going to make things just real weird down the line. And it's awesome. Weird.
I couldn't agree more.
In an awesome way.
Yeah, like this is honestly such a big moment here for Clem, because yes, Clem and Reynor have played tons of times before. They played in all these CSL Opens. They've played in like a Shy Shardy Cup or whatever, right? But this is the premier tournament, like one of the few premier big tournaments that are happening right now that are super important. You have to actually get a tournament victory here, not just actually even in the winners final, but like you want to win an actual tournament. That is something that Clem is missing from his resume. You can't be considered one of the big greats like Reynor or Serral if you haven't won like a premier tournament. So I feel like this is Clem's big opportunity here. He struggled last season after getting to the winners finals, and Cyril ended up winning out over here. Now he's going to be moving into this one, 1-0 versus Reynor. Cyril's in the lower bracket. One of the Cyril and Reynor are possibly going to have to eliminate each other if Clem can win this. Like, this is the pathway for him to get put up there with the rest of them.
At that point, you're checking the back of the issue to see if this is one of those weird spin-offs where we're in a different reality, right? And you're like, oh yeah, in this reality, these guys actually do lose. Yeah, we're not on Earth Prime anymore. No, this is, we're still on Earth Prime, I think. I mean, to be honest, if reality split, I probably wouldn't be able to be aware of it, but I would try. Anyway, in the bottom left position of Everdream, we have the blue Zerg player trailing what? He is Reynor.
And up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Terran player representing Team Liquid very proudly. It is Clem. Oh man, Nate, I'm actually, I'm really pumped that this series has already begun like this. And I feel like this is gonna be the kind of big decider game for me on like, okay, can Clem really dictate the pace of this? Can he really keep some of that momentum going? Because again, submarine, smaller map, like you gotta play it and think about it a little bit differently than the rest of the maps. Everdream, I feel like a little bit more standard. There's definitely some little quirks to it, but for the most part, if Clem can make something big happen over here, if he can make this a really close or even just a close game or a victory, that is going to be really telling for me moving into game number 3. Even if he loses this one, if he can make this really close, I'm actually believing in Clem.
Yeah, this is it's interesting, but at the same time, I'm still going to try and reserve a little bit of my hype. I mean, that if there is a reason why any one map gets vetoed out of literally every single series in a tournament, it's because that map sucks. And the map might not necessarily suck for everybody, but the map sucks enough that there are people who are like, no, I just never want to play on this. So the fact that it makes its way through strikes me as really curious, just because that is the map where Terran is going to have the biggest advantage against Zerg. It's the hardest map to sit back on and, you know, chill. If you are Reynor. So I don't think that he's going to take a confidence hit from that map drop. I think he's going to be happy that he's not going to have to deal with any more, you know, maps like that anymore for the rest of the series. And the expectation should be to just play his A game, move forward as best as possible, play these bigger maps, eat the map. I say that, but this first Reaper is actually doing a bit more than it typically should. As much as we try to say like, oh yeah, the Lings, you know, die so that the drones don't have to, you don't want to lose the Lings either. When the Hellions come out, and if your strategy is to overwhelm them, every single Ling you lose sucks too. What? Parkour.
That is very abnormal to actually see not even just like a Zerg player in a professional game, but like Reynor to lose that much, as he's like the master of Lings and controlling them and getting all the absolute best value from them. So really nice start here from Clem, and Zergling's speed is actually a good ways off still right now, Nate. So I feel like this Reaper still has a decent bit of time. It can continue to be annoying and continue to just poke and prod.
Yeah, this is a very impressive first Reaper. I mean, denying the third hatch is very hard to do. So I'm not going to say that that's really like a factor in the evaluation of the Reaper's performance, but killing that creep tumor, if you're forcing out an extra one earlier, that means you're delaying a potential later transfuse that would help hold something, whether it's a base, saving another queen, what have you, or perhaps one of those extra stacked injects, you know, just being able to inject the hatchery twice, not have to look at it twice as long as usual is something nice you can do too. Good save on this drone with the quick spore morph. I thought he might have even been able to kill the building spore. Yeah. Sometimes people try to save the drone by turning it into a spine, and that's the worst thing you can ever do. It takes forever to gain health. It's very easy to kill building spines.
Yeah, nice little tip there for the Zerg players. Now, the Liberator is about to pop on out, and that Overlord, it doesn't have Overlord speed or anything, but a single Marine is going to take a while to clean that up. So, did it actually catch wind of the Liberator? I think the Liberator may have just barely been able to skirt around it. He's going to start the Spore Crawlers anyway, so it looks like Reynor is going to be pretty on point about it. Has the Queens over here ready to defend those two creep tumors at the forefront. And yeah, Reynor does have the tools he needs to start pushing any of this kind of harassment back, but Liberator's gonna show up just a few seconds before that score caller finishes. The Queens are not too far away though, so yeah, Liberator's not even in siege up range of any of the drones. Oh,
that's one.
Nice. Okay.
I think part of it also is you're trying to stretch that attention resource, right? Which is also very important. If the Liberator is able to siege up, even on a bit of useless quote-unquote space, that can also become a safe zone for Hellions to dive into, since it'll help clear out those lings.
I mean, honestly, actually, already a lot of lost mining time over here. That's what, like 12, 13 drones that have just not been mining for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So like you said, it does add up a bit, and the Hellions are all still alive. Something I know we were talking a lot about in the last game, and you were even saying it's not just Cyril, it's actually also Reynor. Having a lot of these Hellions alive is so useful against them.
Boom.
And now Liberator kills a Queen. Clem is actually just popping off right now.
Yeah, no, great grab on that Queen. Really, really, really good early game aggression. I mean, part of this is just confidence too, right? Clem is not afraid to try and play his A game. And now he's going to bring those Hellions in because he wants the ramp. Guess what? That Liberator, even just killing a handful of the Zerglings, is going to help these Hellions get the momentum they need to either kill all the Lings and then back it up, or make a big, big dive onto those drones. But I like that he's keeping the Hellions alive. Hellion retention, Hellion retention, Hellion. Sorry, I just sneezed. Hellion retention.
That was perfectly timed there, Nate. But okay, it looks like the Hellions are getting caught on creep, so a lot of them are going to end up falling over here. 2 Hellions also sitting very low on hit points. Looks like the Lings will back off, but you're right. Like, those Hellions still did kill every single Zergling that was out on the map earlier. So Reynor, instead of getting up to 70-some drones, did have to remake a bunch of those Zerglings just to deal with that.
18 Lings.
Yeah.
Still 18 Lings. If he lost all the Lings that if he didn't just lose all those Lings and he just surrounded those Hellions, I guarantee you he's at 80 drones.
Yeah,
easy for me to make that guarantee, of course, because we don't have a way to look at an alternate universe where he did just kill the Hellions for free.
That's over on Earth Prime, Nate, because I'm feeling this right now. Clem is doing a really nice job. He's going to be able to dive in over here. The Banelings do not have Baneling speed. I mean, Baneling speed is not even actually started at this point.
Nice mine. Decent number of Ling kills there. And that spawning pool, I like that he's already building another one, too. Okay, he cancels it. I don't know. If someone says they're going to kill your spawning pool and your spirit animal is a Zergling, I don't know.
Nate, what is Baneling
just
speed?
build an extra pool.
You have to get Baneling speed, right?
That is a really good question. Did he forget? No way. 99% of Zerg players start Baneling speed when they start to build whatever their lair tech is. So if he was going to get it, he probably would have gotten it as soon as the Hydra Den started. But
yeah,
the fact that he still hasn't does make me nervous. Yeah.
He's got the resources for it. I think it's a mistake. I think it's going to be really problematic. He's going to see the Banelings waddling around and probably thinking, oh man, like that Baneling speed's got to be kicking in soon.
Yeah, he just starts it.
Oh no, this is actually really scary. The difference between Baneling speed and no Baneling speed means Marines can actually target fire down these Banelings. Widowmine's going to have a much easier time potentially getting shots off. And you can see the Banelings, they just can't find the Marine core, even with how many Banelings he has right now. This is a really tough fight for Reynor.
Yeah, this is really, 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 really uncharacteristic out of Reynor for getting that Baneling speed. He's still doing a good job of kind of jockeying for this position to delay this. And mind you, he did get a 4th base in the midst of all of this. And it is mining in the northwest. So it's not like the downside is that he loses economy. Oh God, the Bane drop.
Oh, look at that
reaction time. But he's going to hold it there. He's going to wait. He's just going to come back if you don't kill that Overlord.
Yeah, something he's going to have to worry about. We're going to end up seeing the Marines starting to shirk around yet again. Not finding anything just yet. Okay, it looks like he will be able to push that Overlord back, but the SCVs are actually clumped up.
I tell you what, if 20 SCVs aren't mining but are alive, they're as good as dead. Actually, they're worse than dead because they still take supply. So you do need to clean this up. He's still not mining off of the base. His Overlord drop has done still a tremendous amount of damage, even without actually doing anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
like a manual detonation before the Widowmine hit. Oh man.
That's a big oof right there. And he's got his Bane speed now, but needs to get Banelings again.
This is a massive issue right now for Reynor. He's actually down about 30 or so supply, and these Marines still causing all sorts of havoc in the main base. There's only 4 or so Banelings over there. The Baneling drop does get cleaned up at the same time. Clem keeps his Medivacs and his Marines alive with 2-2 finishing on up. He hasn't even gone for the big push just yet, Nate. This the hive is gonna be big for Reynor now.
What good is the best ling control when you have no lings with which to control, Mr. Anderson? The spawning pool is gone. So this is a very awkward window where he cannot build Zerglings. So it's going to be those Hydras that are not at their full power spike yet. In fact, they do not have range. They do not have speed. So the Hydras are going to be a lukewarm response, right? They're not quite what you want to have in this situation. Now the pool is about to finish. He's got a lot of mainlings still, regardless.
Yeah, he's down to 16 now, though, as the Marines start charging on forward. Finally, some more lings are being made. Remember that any lings that Reynor's making before those lings pop out, those are all the lings he's got. Because again, like the spawning pool being down for so long means those lings come out so much later, the hatchery ends up falling. And Clem actually is still holding ground. He's still got Widow Mines burrowed further and further back. He's going after the other hatchery. He's picking off the gas geysers. He's picking off drones. And Reynor is sitting down 60 supply now, Nate, with a 1-0 advantage in this best of 5. Is Clem actually doing this? Is Clem knocking down the man who has beaten Cyril?
Unupgraded Hydras are not going to be able to punch through Liberator. This is about as rough as it could get. Yes, there are lurkers, but we've got drones being chased by Marines in an open field, Ned.
It's not a fair fight. I'm calling abuse here.
Oh, these poor drones need a home, ladies and gentlemen. Open your hearts to them.
He's gonna cancel it.
Oh Lord. Well, the +2 Carapace getting killed is also massive.
That's like of the 2 upgrades, that's the one you don't want to lose. Like, give a +2 melee. Let +2 Carapace finish. This is insane.
You can't hide from us. Those drones just lived out like a horror movie right there, man.
Yeah. Reynor at this point, he is actually just hoping like he's able to pull the most miracle comeback here ever off the back of lurkers. Maybe like pole position lurkers in all the Marines. I don't think Clem's gonna let it happen. Though.
Dog, Clem's got this. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
What a beautifully played game. Yeah, he's got some lurkers that he can't really attack, but he can just attack everywhere else. And these Hydras, just no, they didn't have any upgrades like the whole game. GG Clem up 2-0. What is going on? Fear Dragon.
We're not in Earth Prime, Nate. I told you, we're not in Earth Prime. This is happening. You know what, guys? We're going to give Reynor a moment of time to recollect himself before we hop into game number 3. This is do or die now for him if he wants to stay in that winners bracket to get that ticket to the grand finals. I hope you guys are as excited as we are for game number 3. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Don't go anywhere. You're watching DreamHack Masters.
purple goop everywhere. Your friends, your family, your tentacles inside their brains controlling them and taking over the planet. That's the world that you would live in if Zerg was completely cracked out of their minds and unstoppable. But not this world. Clem sits 2-0 above one of the greatest Zerg players that we've seen in StarCraft, and he is fighting for you, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody that doesn't play Zerg. Hi, we're back. How you doing, Fear Dragon? I didn't really plan out how to toss it to you after that intro.
I always enjoy your intros because like they always tell a story. And sometimes I can tell maybe like 30 words into the story, you're not sure where the story goes. It's not the story I would read. It's not the book I would read, but I would read the Wikipedia summary of that book. So I'm excited.
You know what, Ravi? I firmly believe the best stories are the ones we aren't quite sure what the ending to them is.
That is absolutely true. And that's what makes this series pretty exciting, because a lot of people would not have expected Reynor to start off this series down 0-2. But now it's match point. This is do or die. And if there's one thing you can still count on Reynor to do, it is to rally. He has like this built-in part of his personality where he feels like this inherent desire to prevent any young upstarts from dethroning him or from being basically what he was for our scene and being like the young up-and-coming talent. He just loves smacking those other players down, Clem included. So I'm not going to count Reynor out just yet, as we are starting up here on top of the right-hand corner of the map, on top of said player, who's just an absolute legend. He is from Team Clash. It's Reynor.
And he faces off against the red Terran player, fighting to get us another long-last non-Korean Terran champion. I've been looking forward to something like this, someone getting this far. I love to see it. And ladies and gentlemen, from Team Liquid, he's Clem. I think my bias is fairly obvious, Ravi. I like seeing new players come up. I like seeing variety. Yeah. I like seeing people being able to break the mold, and Clem is playing out of his mind in this series so far. You know, I made my jokes about Submarine, but I honestly, you know, like that map can be a bit of a fluke at times just because it's not played a lot, because there are problems with it. But Everdream, that game was as clean as it could have possibly been for Clem. And Reynor, I think, is going to regret not finishing that second spawning pool when he started it at the beginning, when I first got hit. And I think he's going to regret not throwing down 10 transfuses on his original one when he thought that it was safe. Because I think everything that fell apart happened in that window where all he could build were Banelings out of his existing lings and Hydras, but he didn't have Hydra range. He didn't have Hydra speed. And when you have Liberators setting up on you and your Hydralisks have 5 range, no. Absolutely not. You're not going to be able to break those lines. He didn't have the ability to flood out those lings. And just you know, that awareness from Clem, the way that he's been playing this out, I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited watching Clem play, because this is some really, really, really good StarCraft coming out of him. It's something we don't get to see enough of, in my opinion, from Terrans.
I'm definitely with you on all of that. And I also feel like I'm coming into this bias because, you know what, Nate? It's not even necessarily always just about the players. I like watching StarCraft history being made, because I actually do feel like, you know, you go back and you're like, oh, when did Neeb truly ascend? And you're like, okay, beginning of 2017, like this is the event. We started seeing like the promise of him and everything. And then it was this big event. He finally won his big premier tournament, all that stuff, like Kespa Cup. You look back at Cyril and it's like, where did everything begin? I actually do feel like no jokes, no memes or anything. I really do feel like this could actually be one of those moments where if Clem is able to win this season, that's where you get to start looking back and be like, this is where Clem showed he could be one of the top 3. It's not just a top 2 anymore. Like, this is where things turned around. It's still yet to be proven. He might be up 2-0 right now, but he still has some big obstacles ahead of him, including closing out this series. But then again, we also have to see how that grand finals turns out as well. So it's the beginning of it. There's a potential for it, but it's yet to shape up. So I want to see this magic happen. I want to see history in the making, Nate.
Yeah, this would be awesome. And I mean, all respect to Reynor, he's a fantastic player, but being able to see someone who can actually take him down, well, you know, that's almost just as amazing. in my opinion. So fast third command center from Clem, by the way, in his main base on this game, getting himself nice and set up with a reasonably quick 2 racks, by the way, to follow the Hellion opening. This isn't your grandma's Hellion opening in TVZ Fear Dragon. This is going to be a little bit of a cheeky eco 2 racks, a little eco 2-1-1. So he's going to have still quick stim, reasonably quick double medevac with Marines. And the 2 Hellions are mostly going to be to see, am I getting Roach all in? Do I need to build a bunch of stuff to not die before my bio is ready to go? If the answer is no, well, then you're pretty happy. He shoots the Reaper to kill the Creep Tumor with the splash damage. And nice little pickup to start the game for him.
Yeah, picking off the Creep Tumor is definitely nice. There is a second Creep Tumor that was backing that up, so it's not going to hold the creep spread too much, but every little bit is going to be a nice victory there. Ling's going to be able to threaten those Hellions and the Reaper back, so Reynor's going to have a nice, secure defensive posture here. Eternal Empire, very nice for getting those first 3 bases set up and pretty much all the matchups, including for Clem. So should have an easier time getting everything situated there, getting up a nice wall and everything to prevent a lot of those, or at least you can't ever prevent the run-bys when you're dealing with Reynor. Like, the run-bys will always happen, but you can minimize them. You can slow them down with those kind of wall-ins and everything. So, end up seeing that 3rd CC floating on over nice and early on.
Yeah, and I like that too, because he doesn't really have to worry. He's not at risk taking this base quickly because he has stim, he has a bunch of Marines, and now he has medevacs. And, you know, presumably combat shield's going to start nice and quick as soon as it can. Yep, there it is. So he's going to be able to already start putting pressure on. And between you and me, there's no Banelings. He is building a lot of Lings. He's cranking them out. So
didn't forget
I often feel like we underestimate what just having 40 Lings can do, even to 16 Marines with no Baneling support. With a screw up, it's going to be easy to knock this base down, but it may not be as easy as we want to think, even though he doesn't have a ton of Banes. He's shooting the hatch a little bit. Now the Lings are going to come to pull forward, and there you go. He forces the lift up. That's really important. He also kills a few SCVs back at the 3rd of Clem. So Reynor, he's ready to strike back a little bit. Also, very interesting is that Clem is now building Hellions again. He built a reactor with that factory. He's building Hellions. We never see Terrans build mid-game Hellions, and Fear Dragon, I freaking love it.
Fun's been listening to Nate talking on the stream, talking about those Hellions, and maybe he ends up agreeing there. The Lings are going to be coming in for a nice little surround here at the same time. The Queens are a little bit too far off of creep to actually chase those medevacs down, so then we'll be able to pick up those Marines, get on out of there. I love the timing of that armory. Is going to be very, very ready to, 1, turn those Hellions into Hellbats, and 2, it's going to ensure immediately start up that 2-2 as soon as 1-1 finishes up, maintaining that nice little upgrade lead there. Has his units positioned well to defend against that Ling run by yet again as he gets that full wall up. I think I like a lot of the way that Clem is playing this, but Reynor is also making some nice plays here to try and combat the things that Clem is doing.
Yeah, well, he got the 4th base up with pretty much no issue, right? And even though Clem went for a very sharp build that anybody who doesn't really have, you know, that awareness to get out those Lings at that time, because Banelings were hardly a factor in that original defense. Now, he does have the Banelings already set up to flank from the south side. The Hellbats going to be picked off for the most part, and he does lift this up, but it's just so hard to move out when your opponent has this many Zerglings. Everyone's like, oh, Marines are better than Lings, but you're like, dude, they're gonna chase you, they're gonna hunt you down, they're gonna find you. All right, you gotta hide, man. You gotta put everything in the safe deposit box, because Reynor is not gonna miss a beat, and it looks like he's playing this one with a little bit of he's got the Anakin Skywalker eyes. Okay, he is ready to throw down and straight up murder Clem here in this game if he gets the chance, because I tell you what, he's holding this early pressure infinitely better than he's been in the series thus far.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And now, after cleaning up that army so one-sidedly there, yeah, Reynor actually does get to run away a little bit with this. He gets to throw down the infestation pit nice and early on. He gets to start up a quick hive. He gets to start up his Hydra Den a little later on and doesn't have to worry about a lot of the pressure because he pushed all of it back. He's got units to spare to deal with the pressure. He doesn't have to worry about making more. And I even love that he's actually spreading out a lot of those overlords on the bottom right-hand side, saying, yeah, you know, Clem is a really aggressive Terran player. He loves going for those drops. He loves putting on that pressure from different angles. I'm just gonna make sure I have infinite map vision. As long as I can react to it in time, I should be okay. I have the advantage in army and general supply, but right now Clem is pushing forward. He does still have a tiny army supply lead, but that's all just because I think a lot of that tech is just finished up over here for Reynor.
I guess the Liberator Siege on the north side expansion, though, able to pick off a handful of drones there very nicely. I think the biggest thing for Clem is with this push, you really want to kill all the creep tumors that you can. That's what's going to allow you to make your next attack a little bit closer. And oh, this Liberator. Wow. It's one of my favorite spots. Put a Liberator or a mine here. Harass units. Be great in this little in-between. Good defense there, too. Wow, he had enough units ready to deal with that. Quite a few Lings were heading to cancel that fourth, but thus far, pretty good control on both sides of the ball.
Wow, Reynor doing these last-second splits to deal with those Widow Mines. Really could have gotten quite dangerous there, but now he's cleaned up all the Widow Mines. It becomes a lot less scary. These Widow Mines, though, could be on top of all those Banelings. Now Clem, focus fires down the remaining ones, is able to push this back. Now, this is, again, the defensive side, though, for Clem. So off the back of those nice Widow Mine connections, he isn't available to, like, immediately start pushing in and doing damage, though.
Yeah, this was, oh, man, it's, like, really good moves being made on both sides. It's an incredibly cutthroat game, and I love seeing the competitiveness, still this heart coming out of Clem as he is really trying to make sure that he can close this out with just 3 games, but Reynor is not making it easy at all. Oh, wait, that's a lot of Lings clump. That's a lot of Lings clump. I go for the Lings instead of the drones. Yeah. I don't know about, I wouldn't have taken the 5 drones, man, but anyway, still opens the door for this northwest push. Okay, losing the 4th base, or excuse me, is going to be painful. The Baneling count is at 14, but I'm not really seeing them able to find too much purchase. Reynor's at 92 drones, by the way, 94. So I don't know. I think his army supply is a little limited for how much he's being stretched here, but I guess he's playing big eco.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have a lot of Banelings right now compared to the number of Lings, although, the number of Lings is quickly decreasing.
That's what I was thinking earlier. Big on those Lings.
+3 weapons started up here for Clem. Looks like Reynor has been able to really keep up with a lot of those upgrades and has already got his own +3 armor on the way. Not too far behind from Clem's weapon upgrade, but Spire is being added on. A lot of Lurkers being added in. And I feel like we didn't really get to see the full power of those Lurkers in that last game because the Lurkers popped up when Clem was basically 80 supply behind, right? But Lurkers can really start holding a lot of these positions and make it a lot easier to just make sure you don't take as much damage against those Marines.
Yeah, especially once they have their full upgrades, right? And it kind of, you get the Terran versus Terran vibes where you just can't really push into a bunch of Lurkers with the range, and especially with the very fast burrow upgrade. That one almost cracks them, right? Now, these force, I can't believe Clem's microing 2 armies at the same time, pushing on the east and also trying to hit that west side of the 4th base. But Reynor, equally impressive, is dealing with all. He's not really been open up to too many vulnerable positions. But I feel like now you try to bring everything and overload the right side.
Yeah, and I think that's actually kind of what Clem is doing over here. He does not have the reinforcements that were sitting back on the defensive side, but he's still got plenty over here. Gonna force Reynor to rotate on in, but he's losing a lot of the Banelings in the process. Gonna lose some of the Queens as well. And suddenly it looks like Clem is making a lot of progress here. Viper's gonna start throwing out some parasitic bombs on the medevacs, but those are being dealt with very quickly. Pre-splitting against all these Banelings. The Lurkers try and burrow in an aggressive position, but the scan comes down immediately. And Clem, even though he's getting pushed back by these Lurkers, is there an available area on the right-hand side? No, he's not going to try and go after that mineral line. A really close fight there.
Really well defended by Reynor, I have to say. He was able to keep his Lurker core intact, which is the most important thing. Those are the expensive units. Those are the ones that take time to build. Those are the ones that cost a lot of supply. Those are largely doing fine. He's only lost 2 Lurkers in this game. The Vipers dropping makes me a little bit more nervous. Of course, those are the units you definitely also want to keep alive, as they, those are one of the most efficient units in all of StarCraft with their ability to consume and get energy off of random buildings. So, on the Bait Marine.
I like it. Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on those Vipers going down, being a little bit problematic, especially since he didn't really remake any of them. He's still just got the one from earlier that survived. Banelings rolling on creep, able to get some pretty decent connections there, and still a few Banelings left alive. Oh my God. A little bit vision obscured by the medevacs there, but Clem is going to get forced back for now. He's got a lot of units in production right now, so that's why he's still maxed out. Whereas Reynor, I think, has got actually a lot of his army right over here, ready and waiting, trying to push forward. The one thing I've really got to commend Clem on right now, though, is just the creep spread is basically non-existent right now. It's only really between the bases. Clem has put so much repeated pressure on, but this is finally that moment where Reynor is going to get to do a counterattack. This is the first real bit of a counterattack that Reynor's been able to attempt. But look at that, Planetary Fortress and Siege Tank, the Ghost even, is actually able to force us back.
The Ghosts make me very happy. In fact, I'm going to say Clem just became my favorite Terran player because he's getting building armor and high-sec auto tracking. So his planetary is going to be better. His planetary is going to be a lot better. It's going to outrange the Hydralisks now. And of course, it's going to be a little bit more sturdy against those Zerglings. Love the Liberator. Siege up brings the army over. Of course, the Spore is going to push it back, but Clem is starting to bring some really good pressure on the west side of the field.
Yeah, gonna kill off a few more drones over here. They're gonna start trying to hug a hatchery. The Spore Crawler re-burrows, but this is all extra little bits of APM that he's forcing Reynor to deal with as he continues to move that Liberator around, continues to find little bits of drone damage as he gets more units up behind this, adds on 4 CCs, adds on a fusion core, adds on another starport, gets ready for the next transition. But is his army gonna be out of position to defend this right-hand base?
They have to be very careful. Keep in mind, the Ghost snipe ability is canceled by any damage that the Ghost receives. And the Lurker actually outranges the snipe on the Ghost. So you can't just have the Ghost be right in front of the Lurkers or they will not be able to use that snipe ability. Now that they're on the retreat, this is where the Ghosts become really, really cost effective. They're able to grab a lot of picks on the way out.
Yeah, really, really nice back and forth trades over there. Reynor gets the base, but he ends up leading out a lot of those lurkers and a lot of those units that are a bit more expensive. Both these players have got a bit of a bank to work with, though. And I feel like we are going to get to see the hyper late game stage of TVZ here as, yeah, another one of those starports finished up and the fusion core done. We should be seeing the next stage over here. Is it? Okay, yeah, Advanced Ballistics going to be coming on out, but we got another big round of Banelings running on into the bio over here. Clem doing a nice job pre-splitting, but a lot of the Ghosts being caught on the right-hand side. Oh, they barely managed to survive, though. Wow.
Gets a nice little snipe on a Hydra. I like seeing the command centers getting pushed everywhere. Look at this Liberator. You know, the other nice thing about Liberators, people don't talk about, but they can also help deal with these types of lurker harass to some degree.
Yeah. Well, it'll be helpful because he's gonna need to use that Liberator to clean things up. He does not have a lot of extra army units to spare right now. He's got everything on this left-hand side, sniping off some of the Banelings. Lurkers still manages to survive, and I think this is finally the Lurker going down over here, but it really, really did distract Clem. I love now that Clem is also thinking about taking that top left-hand base at the same time that Reynor is also in that general area.
And not a planetary over here now, so that means the Zerglings will be able to feast on this base. Needs to get the lift up. You notice that command center would have 100% died if he didn't have building armor, by the way. Shout out to that. Liberators are going to try to come help hold this position before the Hydras get on them, and thus they do hold. Really like that he's taking this west. This northwest planetary is so aggressive, but I love it.
Yeah, he's going to be able to force a lot of the fights over on this side of the map as well, because it really has just been Reynor trying to draw a lot of the fights to the bottom right-hand side. But Clem has got a handful of units on that side. He doesn't have any medevac supporting these units, so those cracklings really, really going ham right now, even behind the mineral line, even in the perfect positioning. This army is going to get cleaned up. Does this open up the pathway, though, for Clem to hit the top left-hand side? All of the units are gone, Nate.
There are too many Ghosts here that makes me very nervous to see this many Ghosts by themselves kind of filling out on the field, but he is doing a tremendous amount. I mean, that base in particular, not the most valuable position. Pretty damn valuable, I'd say. But does he not know about that northwest hatchery? I'm like, I feel like that would have been real easy pickings for him. But now that southeast flank, it's the sore, exposed, open spot.
Couple of Ghosts getting caught over here, and the Banelings trying to connect with them. The Banelings actually do not do extra damage with these Ghosts, so they can take a few shots here and there, but it does get tricky. Parasitic bombs also be thrown out on those medevacs. Look at the quick split over there from Clem, though.
But I'm looking at the bank, Ravi. That's what I'm looking at right now. We've got a Zerg who's maxed with 3K, 84 drones, same army supply versus a Terran who's gassed. Right? And I say that as in he's being forced to spend all of his minerals trying to reproduce his basic units. so he's starting to float gas because he no longer has enough of enough army itself to build those gas-heavy support units, and that is not going to become easy to deal with until he gets that planetary set up, which he does. He did finally get a bunch of workers over there, so his income should start to get a little bit more stable. But he's, you know, Reynor's got enough money to build multiple waves of army from the future if he wants to win this game.
Sniping individual drones is going to be an interesting use of these ghosts, but well, the ghosts again, like look at how many Baneling hits each individual ghost while actually spread out can tank. Look, all of those Banelings don't even kill both the ghosts. Orbital command on the bottom side is going to end up going down over here though, so Reynor is hitting on multiple sides. He's shutting down a bit of that economy. I do think though, if Clem has that top left-hand planetary fortress, like you said, established there, if he can keep this alive, which might be a little bit of an ask right now.
The Bane train is coming. This is the part of the game where I wish I could have an orbital there with like 6 anti-ground turrets and save the base, but tragically you cannot. But he does get harassed. This is the most fresh expansion for Reynor. Killing that is absolutely crucial to success. Also some really good choke points he can play around with here too.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, parasitic bombs are going to ensure that a lot of these medevacs are probably going to end up going down. Cannot easily lift off. It's one medevac. The one medevac that didn't get parasitic bombed alive. That's actually a nice save there. Clem going to continue to try and be annoying with that while he hits up on the top left-hand side again. This is just a tale of two pathways right now. Clem on the north side continuing to put pressure on. Reynor continuously trying to hit the bottom.
Yeah, we've kind of got the yin-yang thing going over here, right? Both of them kind of flowing around each other in this weird, magical, twisted way of StarCraft. StarCraft magic, perhaps, is the appropriate way to describe it. He's got this big push on the northwest once again. He's got a tank there too, supported by some Widow Mines, and also trying to retake that northwest expansion. He will kill the Zerg hatchery, so the north is being won by the Terran, but we all know those Zergs in the south, they are treacherous.
They are definitely getting a lot of damage done, those lurkers on the south side. And they're going for the planetary now with the missile turrets. And remember, you knock out the missile turrets, then you got to scan for every single time you want to fire against these lurkers. And the lurkers do extra damage versus armored nades, so they will eventually start whittling down that planetary fortress as well, even with it potentially having some shots fired over here. That planetary does end up falling. And I feel like Clem, his best option is just really, really batter down hard on that top left-hand side. I think just take that top left-hand base, right?
Maybe. This is really hard, though, because that top left command center is not a planetary, and he does not really have anything to help anchor this position for the bio. The lurkers are going to cut off the ramp. All the Marines and Marauders are just pretty much dead, and I think we're starting to see Clem fall apart a little bit here. There's not really any big fresh bases for him to mine off. The main's done, natural's done, third's done.
Keeps orbital alive.
That fourth base center left, as nice as that is, if this army... Okay, well, you know what? I just saw Widow Mine kill 30 Bingers. It changed my mind, Robbie. Okay, if he makes a counterattack here, he has a chance to just close it out.
Oh my god, he's also closing the distance over here with the ghosts on the Vipers. The Vipers need a bit of time to get a tiny bit more energy. Some of them do have blinding clouds or parasitic bombs available, but this army for Clem is not getting stopped right now. There's only 5 Banelings on the map right now, Nate. There's 10 more Banelings being made, but I actually think that Clem is starting to make some really nice damage happen here. He's even sending some Widow Mines down to the bottom right-hand side to hit that mineral line.
Yeah, he definitely needs one more good trade like that. It's not going to be easy, but if these ghosts, I don't know if he has cloak.
He does have cloak.
He has personal cloaking. A good shot, but he needs to be able to actually fight. But Marine Marauders won't cut it against this army. The ghosts and the Widow Mines have to get those casualties.
Okay, nice.
Manually target.
It's actually insane when you watch some of these players and you're like, you know, this game has been unbelievably nuts. There's constant pressure on the north side. He's just focused. He's changing targets. He's just changing targets by time. That's so sick.
Unfortunately, not able to capitalize on that, but 11 lurkers being added Fear Dragon, and he's putting them on his bases. He's got so much. He needs to kind of blindside this army somehow. Actually, that's not bad. Getting a lurker or two would be great. Unfortunately, not able to make it happen. These Lings are going to bait out the mine shots, and then he's going to clear them up.
Not a whole lot over here besides some Widow Mines and maybe a small chunk of these ghosts and Bioforce down here on the south side. Really not enough to deal with the full force of all of these cracklings making their way forward. At the same time, Reynor also poised on the north side as Clem moves down a lot of his army supply to the south side. Okay, looks like Reynor is he looks like he's actually just gonna fully commit down to the south. You know, just backing up for now.
It's hard because you want to have like, actually, there's not really many Hydras left here. It's a shame it wasn't able to kind of realize the Liberator dreams. Ghost getting some snipes though, not doing too bad there, but a lot of Banes are going to come in. The Widow Mines actually chunk out about half of them though.
And the Ghosts get an insanely good split off over there, and they actually manage to absorb the remaining Banelings, or most of them. Now we end up having EMP, I guess, like could be available, but
click on unit, kill unit.
Well,
bad man.
I
don't know how he's gonna
360 surround.
There's just so much. There's just so much Zerg. He's got so many Zerglings and Lurkers. And like I said, the Marines and Marauders on their own, they cannot do it. You have to have those. Okay, that was a good Widow Mine hit, but you need to keep getting those. He hasn't been able to really attack those southeast bases, which has also made things so freaking hard.
SCV is forced to retreat.
He didn't want to lead him. He didn't want to lead him to the northwest, but he did. SCVs are all dead. Now he's like, oh, you got a base up here? Oh, that sounds cool. I'll take that. That's it. There's not really any more money coming in for him. He's gonna try to move 2 more command centers to the southeast and change directions again. But Reynor's still sitting pretty. He's got tons of money, 68 drones, and he did not lose his power units like Clem has been in these fights. Those Lurkers have been absolutely devastating to the bio army.
Clem had to fire back on the south side. He had to get counter damage done, and even though he's
you see those Ghosts trying to snipe, they keep getting attacked.
Yeah.
If the Ghost doesn't have anything to buffer for it, the Lurkers have the same range. They can hit the Ghost while they're trying to snipe, so they will never be able to snipe a Lurker that has vision of it. He's gonna build a hatch in Reynor's base. He says, he's gonna build a hatch in Clem's base. Says, get out of my game, son.
This is actually just nuts right now. Clem really held on for so long, but Reynor, with just the stalwart holding of these Lurkers, making 10 more, because why not? They really did win him this game. Yeah. My God.
Well, this one is definitely over. Unfortunately, there's just not really anything that this army can do. You have to lean a bit more. And I don't mean to say that it was like a bad choice, because as long as he can keep him spread and running all over the map, the bio is not bad, right? You're using the mobility, but when you're forced to kind of take some of these fights, it gets quite hard. A lot of the Lurkers run up to the bio, so he's able to kill a few of them. But the problem is there's nothing here that says you can't attack me, right? Bio runs, but so does this Zerg army. And with that, Reynor gets on the board. Score of this series now 2-1.
Unbelievable. I mean, if you're gonna win a game, that is one hell of a way to do it. Reynor really showing he's looking strong as we move into game number 4 and saying, no, Clem, you do not beat me like this. Wow.
That's what a wild game that was. I mean, that's got to be one of the best games of StarCraft I've seen in ages. Like, that was, got to see full power Clem against full power, you know, like they both went Super Saiyan for that one, and it was a hell of a battle to watch. But damn is about all I have to say. Those Lurkers are tricky. Like, you know, he got the Liberator range right. We saw a couple of them get used, but it's so hard. It's so hard though, right? Because he had all those Vipers, and then it's hard to get it's hard to snipe or EMP the Vipers when your opponent is so good that they can always keep them behind the Lurkers like that. And it's just a really tricky situation, because, you know, you look at that and I'm like, what is the best thing that he could do that he isn't doing right now? And there's not really anything I can think of. Like, that was just got outplayed, I guess, right? Like, he couldn't get the Liberators into a position to zone out the Lurkers because the Vipers were way too on top. He couldn't snipe the Vipers or get the EMPs off on them because the Lurkers were always within that 10 range to deny that, because, you know, that snipe gets canceled. And then when he realized that the Ghosts had all used their snipes on the Lurkers, he had the awareness to be like, none of these guys have energy. I'm just going to abduct all the Ghosts into the Lurkers too. And he got like 6 of them in that Northwest fight for free, which was just awesome. Just so back and forth. What a great game.
Yeah, truly just like really putting the emphasis on multitasking in this real-time strategy game. And that was just such a delight to see. Like the multi-prong fights that were happening constantly, which I think largely thank you to Eternal Empire for having all those different attack paths and everything, all the different ways that you end up seeing the armies move around. Definitely a map that leads to a lot of those long-term macro games. We head into game number 4, guys. We're going to Pillars of Gold. And again, this is still match point for Clem, but I gotta say, after that last victory, just the way that Reynor was able to hold on with those lurkers, no matter how good Clem was playing, no matter how well he was playing, he could not find a way to be as cost-effective as Reynor. I feel like it was a little bit of a momentum halter there. I really do feel like Reynor's coming in and he's got a bit more of an advantage coming into game number 4.
Beer Dragon, I have the ultimate analogy to explain what just happened. All right, this was your classic superhero beatdown. He's getting just battered and bruised, and then at that last second when we're like, oh my god, Clem seems like he might be unstoppable here, he catches the fist in his hand and he starts to push him back. And that's what it felt like. And we got to see Reynor seize control of the momentum of this series. And I mean, this whole thing's blown wide open completely. I just have absolutely no idea what to expect. We'll be loaded into the next game in a second. We did accidentally start it with the wrong races. That happens from time to time. But man, oh man, Pillars of Gold for the next map. And that's a really good map for Zerg versus Terran too. So this could be really rough. You know, Reynor's got a great opportunity to set us up for the rubber match.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really love watching this map. As soon as like the 4th bases start getting involved, Nate, that's where like Pillars of Gold becomes just one of my favorite maps to watch other people play on. My god, is it stressful when I get up a 4th base on this map myself, because then I'm like, oh man, I feel really stretched thin. But this is where, when you get to watch pro players, it's so exciting because like the army positioning, the movement, the different attack angles, and the way you can start trying to pull your opponent apart because they get spread out so far with that 4th base. I do feel like this is where we get to see top class players really get to duke it out and capitalize on your opponent trying to be being out of position or trying to pull them out of position. So I like don't even care anymore about who wins this. Like I was really invested in the whole Clem story winning. I care in the sense that I just am so grateful to get some great games out of this. This has just been like one of my favorite series so far.
I do appreciate you doing your best to be the professional caster here. That does help. And that gives me leeway to say that, no, still extremely biased. Still want Clem to upset. Still cheered from a boy. This series has delivered on the hype, mostly because we finally get to see, you know, Reynor not just completely stomp the crap out of someone that isn't Serral. And Clem still played one of the best TVZs I think I've ever seen, even though he just lost that last game. It was still amazing. Still played crazy well. He hardly had any tech that he could use outside of a handful of Widow Mines, and he was able to really just stretch Reynor and take that game all the way. I cannot wait to see what else is going to go down in this best of 5. I can't wait. So why should we wait? Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting loaded into Pillars of Gold for map numero 4 in the northeast. We have the red Terran player representing Team Liquid up 2-1. He is Clem.
And in that bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from Team Clash. He is Reynor. Certainly was a clash in that last game, just constant action, but we finally get to settle back down, Nate, after a 27 or so minute long game. And remember the early game stages of ZVT, the parts where we didn't get to see as much crazy back and forth in like, you know, the early game stages of that last game, but we did get to see some interesting choices there. If you recall, Clem like going for some of the Banshee openings in that first game, I think it was, trying to go back into Hellions like later on, which is something I actually never see Terran players do, and I think you mentioned the same. So there have been some kind of cool and interesting choices from both these players in those early game stages thus far.
Yeah, that's what makes this so fun, right? Neither of these players are just mechanical beasts. You can clearly see the cogs turning. Ladies and gentlemen, if you max out the volume of the stream and you put your ear real close to that speaker, you can almost barely hear those cogs turning. Just kidding. It's just my loud, annoying voice. But You could almost, if you were physically near them, maybe, because it's impossible to hear them since we don't have microphone feeds from them, unless they win, of course, sometimes, right? Sometimes
Wouldn't
you
it
get
be great
that.
if we did, though? Imagine we had the microphone feed.
While they're in game?
Still ask Cyril, what did you say? He says, I don't remember, then we play it back for him.
Hey man, we can't be worse than some of the other ones, man. I've seen the clips from some of those tournaments when they get the youngsters shooting the guns against each other in those esports games. They've got quite some things to say. I don't even think the most mild insults in the other scenes. I'm not sure even the most mild insults in the other scenes would pass
Play
here,
out well
man.
here. Yeah.
I think if you call your opponent an idiot, if you just said something as basic as that in StarCraft, you'd probably have 1,000 people calling for your head.
Now. Yeah.
You're not allowed to ever say anything that's not nice, Reed. That's just the way it is.
I feel like you could have microed that better. What? Yeah.
Does he literally think that this player is worthless because of this one comment? Click here to find out more.
Oh, thankfully
it's just
we're
an
not
advertisement for your MySpace. Gets the Overlord, by the way. The early Overlord kill. I'm a fan of it. I love it. Love to see it. Gets the early OV kill. That scout denial is a big deal because you know what I've been paying attention to, Fear Dragon, in this series? I've been paying a lot of attention to Overlord speed because it is one of my favorite things that Cyril does very often. And when I look at this, when I see this, when I'm watching it, I really do like to keep my eye on that, since now his ability to really see anything at all that Clem is doing is completely gone without that. He doesn't have the lair. His nearest Overlord is at his own third base. So if I was Clem, I would maybe think about doing something cheeky, since you don't always plan. You can't plan on getting the Overlord. It's never for sure. But it's got to be really nice to know that your opponent just can't really see what you're doing.
Yeah, and of course, like when you go for that, it's not like the Overlord just happened to be running around and happened to run into a Marine, right? Like Clem was hunting for it. It's something that he's not always going to be able to get, but you're actually trying to actually look for it a little bit. So I have to imagine there's something he has thought out about, okay, how can I capitalize on this when I do find it? Because again, it's something that was on his mind. It was something he was looking for a little bit. And it looks like so far he's just gonna be making the 5th and 6th Hellions, adding on that Liberator that just now pops out. These Lings are not gonna be able to kill that SCV or delay the Walden over here, but we already got Spore Crawlers coming up over here from Reynor yet again, very much so prepared for any Hellion or Liberator harassment. But I wanna remind you guys, even when Reynor has been prepared for the Liberator harassment, Clem has still had an excellent time finding bits and pieces of damage that Liberator. Just really well controlled.
Yeah, it's also really important to note that this is just really good awareness by Reynor, because he hasn't been able to get that information about the inside of his opponent's base. All he saw was that wall with his Zerglings that ran up. So taking the safe route, says, you know what? Get a safety spore. It doesn't hurt. They're cheap, build really fast, hard to kill, last forever. You know, there's not much downside to getting an early Spore Crawler when you know that your opponent is probably going to do something with their starport. You know, it'd be very weird if he was like, I'm just going to go straight 5-rack, no medevacs for a while.
Well, 8 Hellions darting around looking for some bits and pieces of damage, but not finding any just yet. The Queens have been in a good position, and this is definitely one of those maps where it can be a bit harder to find the big dive-in damage, just because if you don't find it at the third base, going up into the natural is a very risky maneuver, since it's up on a high ground. You don't always know what you're going to be diving on into, but Liberator finding some nice damage in the main base, already finding 2 drone kills, 3rd drone kill, and gets out of there alive before the Queens can pick it off. So even though I would say the Hellions have not exactly been finding as much damage as he would hope for, not even like finding a lot of Cubers, Clem has still been finding ways to pick at Reynor.
Yeah, this has been interesting, though, because the most important parts about Terran versus Zerg all rely around the 4th base. First, you want to deny, delay, cancel the Zerg's 4th base. And then for the Zerg player, once you're on your 4th base, it's actually a pretty big deal to try and slow down the Terran on their side. If they overcommit to trying to stop you, if they fail, this is what happens when you have 2 drones selected and he clicks on it, but then one of them's supposed to build and the other one doesn't. So if he gets a delay or a cancel on this 4th while he's on 3 bases, that is absolutely massive. And unfortunately, I do think these Lings might spot the medevacs coming. I'm not sure if he saw that. No, maybe not. So if he has enough, I think, to push this away from the third, but not if he gets right on it really fast.
Yeah, Widowmine also going to be burrowing. Really aggressive spot. Does not get an insane connection, but still cleans up quite a few of those lings and can now elevate her up to the high ground. And remember, if those lings all have to migrate up to the high ground, well, that's going to leave an opportunity for Clem to migrate back to the low ground and try and finish off that hatchery. He's going to do more or less that. Doesn't quite get the gas geyser, but this
Hellions to the third.
Low.
Hellions are heading to the third at the same time while he drops this. Okay, Hellions do pull back, but he's trying to really stretch the multitasking the micro. Oh my God, this fourth base. Okay, no kill just to cancel, but still very nice grab considering it was at 99% completion for the most part.
And we actually see Reynor, of all people, the king of lings, going into a big roach transition over here, adding on a lot of Ravagers. He's just got to be getting hyper aggressive here now, right?
Does he think that this is some sort of weird fake out build with the Hellions that are on the map? Because I'm pretty sure if Clem realizes what's going on, oh my God, the Queens are coming with this. Okay, that Reaper saw it, so I was gonna say he needs to bring everything home. Honestly, I would try to load those Marines that are out by where that fourth was into the medevac and try to bring them back. You need all hands on deck to stop this, because if he gets the fight the way that you're supposed to with Bio against this, he's gonna have a lot left over when he kills everything here, but you can't be overwhelmed numbers-wise.
Queen's not quite perfect the fight, although they do find the medevac on the retreat with some Marines still inside. Widowmine goes off, but it only kills a single one of these roaches. Reynor has way more supply than Clem could ever hope to try and get up right now. And this is going to become an incredibly impossible feeling hold right now for Clem.
Yeah, that third base so wide open, just breaks the rocks. He's got a massive choke to go through. The Marines and the Marauders are kiting, but it's already over because that third base is done. He's stuck on a 1.5 base economy now pretty much. And the only thing that he can do is bleed out these Marines and Marauders while he tries to damage this. But the only thing that you could do to stop that is a lot of tanks, and he did not have those. Reynor ties the series up. We're going to game number 5.
Reynor not going to let this end like this. He loves shutting down these young upstarts. My God, this is everything we can ask for in a winner's finals, Nate. Whether you're hoping for Clem or Reynor to win, it is still very fun to see more StarCraft from these two players. Now, I believe we will be going to a short commercial break before we go into game number 5. Get these players a little bit of time to think about how they want to play out that last and final map of this best of 5. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the winners finals at DreamHack SC2 Masters.
staring at the graphics. I'm waiting for the right one to come up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack Masters Fall. I'm your host, Nathanius, joined by Fear the Dragon. And, well, I'll tell you what's been dragging on Fear is this series, because, whoa, both players are pushing each other to the limit.
Yeah, Reynor is dragging out this series for sure, because we're heading into a game 5 with Reynor having started down 0-2. I feel this is just Reynor's personality. Like, I can see him in game 3 being like, no, actually, I'm the only young upstart here. You need to simmer down, kid. Even though Clem is actually like a few months older than Reynor, I can hear Reynor basically just talking down to Clem. And it's glorious. I'm loving every second of this. Death Aura is gonna be the map that decides who moves on to that grand finals, who gets knocked down and is gonna have to face off versus the winner of Serral and Marine Lord, whoever that might be.
Yeah, that's this bracket, right, is just shaped up to be insane. Especially with Marine Lord kind of completing this comeback arc. I think he has completed it. Just making it as far as he has in this tournament is already beyond upset expectations when people were like, Marine, who is coming back? Because it's been that long that we have new people that are like, I don't even remember this guy because it's been forever.
Hero Marine? Are you
about Hero Marine? Yeah, Hero Marine's not a lord. What are you talking about? He's a man of the people like us. Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, this series, whether you like it or not, is going to finally come to its penultimate conclusion. In the Southeast, bringing it back from down 0-2, he has clashes Reynor.
Look at him vibing out to his music. Bobbing up and down. Getting ready for this series against this fella up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. Such an important match for him. Such an important opportunity for him in this premier event. It is the Red Terran player from Team Liquid, Clem.
All right, Fear Dragon. It's time for a deeply analytical StarCraft question.
I'm ready.
What is playing? What music are each of the players listening to right now? What is it? You can't say an Eminem song.
Oh no, of course not.
It's too obvious.
All right. You know, I feel like Reynor, it's gonna be like a Drake album or something like that. You know, he's vibing out to something along those lines. Okay. And Clem has either been basically he's been taken into the camp of TLO and is listening to like pure classical music. It's either that or, you know, I could also see him being like like Neeb is like the little closet K-pop fan. I could see that. I could see Clem being one of those guys who just like quietly listens to K-pop on maximum blast as he just looks straight face at the
you're predicting like OVO versus BTS here then for this series? Is that how you're looking at it, Fear Dragon?
Drake versus BTS? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean, that's you've literally picked the most strong fan base army that exists on Earth for that. But yeah, obviously we all know BTS would win that.
Actually.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're about to have about 10,000 very angry tweets, maybe 10 million by the time I finish this.
Well, no, Smix will have them. I didn't say it.
Never vote against BTS. Never vote against those fan bases. You're the one who invoked them, Fear Dragon.
I know.
Accept responsibility for what you've done.
If you ever say anything bad about them, you always misspell their name. Because that's how they find you. That's how the BTS army finds you.
Yeah, well, they search for the typos too. They're very loyal.
You're hardcore.
Hey man, when you love your team, you love your team. That's all I have to say.
That's true. You know, I should actually start searching on the Team Liquid forums for like misspellings of Neeb, like Neeb with 3 E's, Neeb with a D at the end, so it says Need instead of Neeb. Like,
you gotta search for the first name and misspellings of that too, in case they try to act like they know him, right? If you want to find everything, you gotta. Stalking takes a lot of effort, Ravi. Now, what I did find interesting about this game again is we actually had a decent amount. 3 Marines being built, and he's building 1 more from the barracks after moving it off the reactor. So this to me feels like we're gonna have the Marine pickup. Maybe he'll slap down an armory and try to go for a really big push and run the Hellions across the map, fly over the Marines, turn it into Hellbats, and just do one of those. Do you have a Baneling Nest? If no, I win the game type attacks.
Now, it's also, we got that layer starting up nice and quick over here for Reynor with the Baneling Nest being slapped on down. So it's going to take a tiny bit of time before Clem will actually be able to go for that kind of attack that Nate was just talking about. But those Hellions are going to be the first little poking and prodding over here. The creep spread already getting over to this third base. As soon as that hatchery finishes, the creep will immediately just end up being connected. Unless those Hellions can take care of those creep tumors, which Queens are not allowing to have happen. Marines heading across the map though, Nate, and see how much damage this can really get done. There's not going to be time to make the Banelings before those Marines arrive.
No, there will not. Now, I will say I was expecting an armory with this, but perhaps he skipped the armory out of the expectation that his opponent would surely scout and build Banelings because the Hellions could deal well with the Banelings, but Hellbats, not so much. However, instead, we've just kind of got a little spread out Marines on the right, Hellions on the left. Feels a little lukewarm, I'm not going to lie, but he is getting a third command center in, I think, engineering base at some point. No, not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Seems like he was looking for something that wasn't there in this opening.
Well, might be able to find an opportunity to sneak on into the natural. No, sees those Banelings are going to end up aborting that mission. It's kind of interesting, too, because he is effectively up against like what I want to call the 2.5 base Spire play, where it's a pretty quick layer there from Reynor, and then he adds on the Spire before he even made his first Baneling there. So Clem's going to have a little window of opportunity before the Spire actually finishes, but once it's done, the Liberator, the Medivacs are all going to have a much harder time making this consistent aggression happen. The Liberator is the first thing to scout out that Spire.
Very important read for Clem to be able to see that. Of course, if you're able to force the Zerg to spend the resources on other things, while getting that queen is actually really nice. In fact, I'm not going to lie. Even if there's nothing here, killing the eggs that are building the Mutalisks if he decides to leave them vulnerable is also not a bad move either.
Hellions come running on in as all the queens are over the natural, but there's not actually too many drones there as they were even being rallied back over to the natural expansion of mine, anticipating that those Hellions would have an opportunity to get something done there. But first couple of mutas have now popped. There's 6 now out, so Clem has to be a bit more careful with these Hellions. Looks like the mutas are just going to completely ignore them, not going to try and hunt them down. Says, no. I made these mutas really quickly so I could get counter damage done, move straight across the map, and there are a lot of Marines at the third. But what about the main of the natural, though, Nate?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a missile turret in the main between the geysers, same building for the natural. However, these positions don't really cover the entire mineral line. They kind of just shepherd away from the edge. So, I mean, it's not bad, right? As far as like playing that left tackle position goes, covering the outside, but you do need to make sure if those mutas slip in the middle that your add-ons and whatnot are also safe. So it's tricky, right? Everybody always makes fun of people who build missile turrets, but then everyone's like, oh my God, these mutas just do so much damage every single game. Wow.
Yeah, and Raider's definitely shown. Yeah, he's shown that with that the muta control, he's been really on point with a lot of it, and has been able to find a lot of that consistent damage. You know, as long as he doesn't lose the first 5 mutas at the first, 20 seconds that they're out on the map. But now we end up seeing Clem making his way across the map, or trying to do this move out, but the muta's gonna be able to force him back, forcing a stim up for a handful of these Marines. And again, it's delaying this push in. This is buying Reynor time. He's able to build a bunch of these Banelings. He's getting more creep spread in front of his bases. He's giving himself space right now, and that is all that these mutas need to do right now.
Yeah, Muta is doing a good job of bullying and distracting. That third base is right for the picking. And doesn't even necessarily need to get all the SCVs if you can grab the turret. That would be great. The Marines do show up pretty quickly to help defend against that, so not bad. But how many Banelings are waiting for him on the other side of these rocks?
27.
Bane speed's about to finish too.
Yeah, or actually just 20 for now. 7 just finished up as I tapped it. Ooh, this run by, able to kill off a handful of Marines there. Nice Medevac micro with the Siege Tank, keeps that alive for a little bit. Has enough reinforcements to deal with the counterattack. Siege Tanks kill off one of the creep tumors, but the Siege Tank is exposed. Keeps the Siege Tank, not alive for too much longer, but snipes off at least a muta in exchange for it and cleans up some of the creep spread now.
Look at this backstab. Look at this flank he's setting up. He's going to hit him from the north. He's going to hit him from the south. He's going to hit him from the north and the south. This army gets surrounded. He gets a little bit of a wipe there. Now the next wave is still coming though. Are there enough banelings left to deal with it? Doesn't appear to be. The drones are already being moved away. He does have a hatchery that's about to finish in the southwest. So I wouldn't be surprised if he transitioned all of them over there.
Yeah, that's the funny thing here is that Reynor doesn't actually have to defend this hatchery. Yeah, so ends up letting it fall. And now Clem's going to probably feel good about his situation because he killed off a hatchery, right? That usually is going to feel really great. But the funny thing is the creep spread does go pretty far back. So what's the next target here? It's not like there's a natural transition of, oh, now I go assault your 4th base or your 3rd base. It's actually a long way onto creep. So he has to back up. He has to spend a lot of time doing this big rotation around the map. And it gets a bit awkward here.
Yeah, movement looks really good, though. Movement's definitely been on the better side. He's been able to keep a good position, jockeying around. But this is a lot of lean Bane. And as you said, the creep is over here. He's going to need to redo that whole process. And now Reynor says, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to jump up onto those siege tanks. And he does pick off a few of them. And he's trying to force Mass Marine versus Ling Bane. Ling Bane wins that fight, by the way.
Yeah, the Siege Tanks did manage to kill off a lot of those Banelings, though. So, I mean, with more of these Banelings starting to go down, there's only 9 left over, 11 still being morphed in right now. The Marines, like you said, jockeying for a better and better position. They are very spread out over here on the south side. Clem is really spreading his army thin, which, you know, it's great for dealing with the Banelings, but you do have to be careful. Those Lings get full surrounds. Muta's trying to backstab again.
That's the hardest part about it, is the more you spread your bio, the more efficiently the Lings attack. What makes Marines good against melee units is that they can clump up, and the ones in the middle can't really be hit. But obviously the Banelings complicate that, so you need to make sure that you have enough supporting units, whether it's your medevacs to heal those individual Marines as they get surrounded. But he scans that right side and he's like, okay, I'm actually in a pretty good place. I like Clem's position in this game a lot. Cresting over 100 army supply. 2-2 is coming in, and he's denied the Zerg 4th base multiple times. Really, the only thing I could see that would make me change my mind here would be if he was forced into a fight where it's just the Marines against the Banes near creep. But the only thing tech-wise I'm looking at, it is once again that big 8 racks push, by the way. He's not invested in anything else. Just one factory slowly trickling out tanks. And that could be the opportunity that he gets, though, if he gets enough Banes, if he can force that big fight. But thus far, Clem has been rocking it, and he is looking damn good in game number 5.
He's also going to have, well, both these players are going to pitch up their 2-2 right in time for the big engagements over here, the big trade. Reynor, yes, he has been able to lose a hatchery here and there and be okay, but that last hatchery he lost was big. Now, the Muta harassment on this side of the map is massive. Even just this low Marine count is not really going to be a comfortable amount to push back that many Mutalisks. Yes, they can push them back a tiny bit, but it's not going to stop the harassment entirely. So now Clem has to dictate a lot of his extra micro and control down to the other side, but sniping off the hatchery, I really feel like this is Clem's game now.
Yeah, it's still very dangerous, though. There's a tremendous amount, 37 Banelings with 62 Lings waiting on creep. So he's basically saying, hey, I want you to A-move me on creep, buddy. Go ahead, go attack me. Say screw it. I'm just going to kill you while these Mutalisks ransack my base. But no, he's being very patient. He's bringing his army back. He's avoiding pretty much the most classic Terran blunder that you see in 99% of TVZs, where the guy's like, guess I better A-move on the creep because my main is dead. And then, you know, at that point, then the 30 Banelings do kill your 80 Marines in 2 seconds. But he held it together, been very patient. He's got a stupidly large army now. Sees that the 4th on the right side is only just restarted. So this is Clem's moment. This is his big opportunity. Another denial on this 4th, and he's going to be starting to bury Reynor.
And this is sort of do or die over here. Reynor really does have to defend one of these bases here. If you cannot get up a 4th tank, there's no way you can take this to the later stages of this game. There's no way you can make up for the fact that your opponent is very committed with the 8 rack. Muta's on the other side of the map once again, just going to be trying to ransack that natural. They snipe off a tank, but Clem fires back, is going to be able to snipe off a hatchery in exchange.
Now the Lings and the Banes are trying to find ways to run around, but there are so many Marines, 69 on the field right now, spreading out around that 4th base, but the Mutalisks have punched through a lot of the defenses in the main. I say that, and the rest, another wave of Marines does come out in the nick of time. Kind of surprised he's not going to try to squeeze a Thor out there, as the Mutalisks are really the only thing that's keeping him from really capitalizing on all the damage that he's dealt in this game. Reynor, once again, on 3 bases. And mind you, the main and the natural both only have 4 mineral patches left, so it's effectively a 2-base income for the Zerg player without that 3rd running.
This is getting a little bit nuts. he's just gonna invest all of his extra minerals and gas into mutas. Like, this is almost Reynor just saying, mutas are how I win this game. Extra banelings are also being made just to say, I'm not going to lose to the immediate push-in. You have to respect the banelings. You can't push in any further. Oh, Bane's looking for an opportunity here.
Oh, that could be devastating, though. You gotta make a really good point. Oh, God, that scan! That scan! Oh my, he was about to lose 40 Marines in a heartbeat if he had not dropped that scan at that exact moment. Oh, geez.
That could have been game ending. That literally could have ended the game right there, but Reynor gets caught.
That was insane. Absolutely insane. Link's running into that third base again, though. Clem now, he's actually got a surround on the mutas. He trims the muta count down to 10. Absolutely fantastic grab there by the Terran player. Okay, Clem, what is the next step here, though?
I mean, you just snipe off the fourth base again, right? Like, all you have to do is just find the small little choke points here to try and inch a tank in range, right?
There's 40 banelings up that ramp, and I don't think, I don't know 100% that these tanks are feeling comfortable moving too much further forward. He is trying to spread the bio out here. There's nothing with range in this position for Reynor. He's just using the mutas to kill the command centers and delay the bases from being taken. But Clem, oh, that's so many veins. Good. Oh, he burrowed them.
Did Clem notice?
He can't go up. I think he's been muling. I don't think he has a scan. He doesn't. He doesn't have a scan. So he actually just can't do anything right now from that spot. He could put the Marines. He could put 2 Marines on to where the banelings are and shoot them with the tanks. And that would kill them, the burrowed banelings. But it's risky because you may not get them all. And also, you know, it takes time.
I'm worried he didn't notice.
No!
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, maybe he was just trying to bait there. My God. Well, he's gonna be able to snipe off the hatchery here, but is he gonna end up losing a lot of his army in the process? The siege tanks have no way to unseen. The mutalisks have also returned, so the medevacs cannot just do a pickup and evacuate. Now we have
too many Marines. Too many Marines, not enough supporting units here for the bio. As he said, you know, just Marines trying to fight these big fights. He's getting off creep, which is starting to help. Good tank shot. Burrows the banelings, but an even faster scan out of Clem. Still with an absolutely gargantuan army supply. The Terran player continuing to just bounce back and forth between the fourths, delaying Clem from building a big bank. And Clem has not been able to max out in this game. He's only just now going to get that infestation pit, but he is going up to north of 50 banelings after this fight. And that is going to be terrifying.
Yeah, but these Marines are actually getting a lot of damage done to that hatchery. The drones are evacuating. Nate, this is the 4th base again for Reynor going down. He's back to, like, I don't even think it's a 2-base economy anymore. I think it's like a half a base, maybe like 1 base economy at this point.
Yeah, and the most important thing that Clem can do right now is bring his army to that west side and situate this planetary. He needs to get another base. I would say put 3 turrets on it, maybe 4, because the only thing that's going to stop Clem from winning this game is if Reynor can at least get another big economic blow dealt back to him, because Clem is just way too rich. Terran's not supposed to have this much money versus Zerg. I mean, it's just a general reminder, right? The production capabilities of Zerg, despite having this 4th destroyed so many times, is still able to put up a really big fight. Reynor will come back in this game if Clem lets it. If he opens that door, you're going to see Reynor dive through it, reaching for that pylon. You got to be careful.
Oh man, Clem is getting ready to ambush these mutas on every single angle they could potentially come from. A 3-way flank, but the dead aerospace is going to be the saving grace here for Reynor. He is still buying some time, but he is a bit trapped here. The bright side here for Reynor is that, well, as long as the mutas are trapped here, the Marines are all trapped back at home and not shutting down that 4th and 5th base going up.
So during all of this, Reynor has taken that 4th, he's taken a 5th, he's planted baneling mines in multiple areas around the map, and of course, he's done a ton of damage to the economy of Clem. This was pretty much what I was talking about. This is the concern that you're gonna have. Good scan there. Oh my God.
Oh, so many of the mutas just died. There's only, okay, there's 18 left still, but I guess they're spread out.
It's got a lot of mutas.
Yeah.
But he needs to get another deny on this base.
Well, I think he's gonna be able to at least force a bit of a fight over here. A lot of the reinforcements stemming on forward. Shank able to get some really nice juicy connections on those banelings. And it seems like even though Reynor is pushing this army back, I think that there's still some units on the south side of the map for Clem that can maybe push in. Oh no, they're just not involved in the fight at all. They're not even doing any harassment.
Uh-oh. I think those two banelings in the center might. Maybe. Okay.
Okay, that's something.
Got two. I'll take it.
We
take those. We take those.
Yeah. A lot of medevacs still alive, despite how many mutals there are out on the map right now. But look at that baneling count skyrocketing back up. 28 banelings were just in production a second ago. But he needs those banelings right now. He really needs those banelings to keep this base alive.
Now, Reynor relying on that mass baneling setup to defend his expansions. As those mutas are going to hit that third base, it looks like the bio is getting somewhat cleaned up, but the west side of it holds together. There's only 3 banelings that I can see at this base anymore, and those are not going to be enough to save it. Gets picked off. Look at that bottom left base, by the way, defended by the turrets. GG. Clem takes the series 3-2 in an absolute stunner.